We're going to have Coach make an opening statement about the regional. We'll take questions just for the student athletes, and then once questions for the student athletes are done, we'll let them go, and then we'll circle back with questions for Coach. And we'll go ahead and turn it over to Coach.
Thank you. Obviously very excited to be here after a couple years not making it to the regionals. Being back certainly feels like where we belong, a Miami program that's been to the NCAA tournament for so many years, and I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of them as a player and a coach. So we're excited. Certainly it would have been good if we could be at home. Obviously it gives you a better advantage, but you know, we understand you know, we didn't do what we needed to do to host, so we were kind of on the bubble there. And so this is our first time, my first time here. I still have yet to see the stadium, but I know from what I've heard and everything, and just kind of pulling up on the backside, it looks like a beautiful stadium, and we're looking forward to the opportunity. We got a lot of young guys on our team, no seniors. We got 10 freshmen, 14 seniors, 14 sophomores, and 6 juniors that make up our team. And none of them have played in the regionals, which is unusual, again, for a Miami team. But it's an exciting team. It's been a lot of fun. It's my first year as a head coach, and it's been, in my 20 years, obviously it's my first year as a head coach, but in my 20 years of coaching, it's been an absolute blast. It's been the funnest year I've ever been a part of, and I've been on a couple national championship teams, but it's just been a lot of fun. And our guys are looking forward to the opportunity. While I have this opportunity, I would like to bring up something that I know is really a hot topic in college baseball, and that's the volunteer assistant, which I started out as and did it for 3 years. I was fortunate that the timing of it, I was able to step in and become the recruiter after my 3 years as a volunteer, but that's normally not the case. And our sport is such a difficult sport with all the limitations that we get, the biggest one being scholarships. But you got 35 players, and you got 3 paid coaches, and you have a volunteer, which is a terrible, terrible title for the coach, by the way, because he's putting in as much hours when he's there. I mean, he's putting as much hours as anybody, and there's a lot of responsibility. You think about it, if you got 4 coaches on staff, you got a pitching coach, you got a hitting coach, you need somebody to coach the infielders, you need somebody to coach the outfielders. There's base running in our sport. There's all kinds of facets that go into it. And so, you know, a lot of times volunteers, they can't afford to be there all day. They got to have another job. They got to work somewhere else. So now we're talking about really just 3 coaches being there a lot of times. And of course, these guys are trying to move up the ladder. You're trying to get them prepared to be a paid assistant. Volunteers cannot go out on the road. So it really makes it very difficult for us to grow our sport. I mean, if I'm hiring somebody, our volunteer is a head coach, was a head coach at Indiana State, at Illinois State, and he was there as a head coach for 4 years. I can assure you he cannot stay as a volunteer for many years at our program by us just paying him through camp. And some programs have more of an opportunity to pay through their camp than others. Most don't. So it makes it very, very difficult. And I know it's something as a college coach, I just want to bring it to the forefront and make people aware of how important it is for our sport and the need for it. We put in more hours, arguably you could say, than any other sport. We play more games. We spend more hours at the ballpark. A 7 o'clock game, we're not showing up at 5 o'clock. I mean, our people are there very, very early. We're there till 11 o'clock at night, sometimes later. And you're talking about all the games we play during the regular season and postseason. It's a lot of time we put into it, and I certainly feel like it deserves the respect from our, and the proper people that are in place to make this happen. And so I just want to make that, put that out there and make people aware of it, because it's something that we feel very strongly about. So thank you.
Thanks, Coach, for your opening statement and comments. Again, just a reminder of the format. Graham's got the microphone. We're going to do questions for the student athletes first. Then after questions for the student athletes, we'll let them know, and we'll circle back with questions for Coach. We'll go ahead and start with Danny here in the front right. We'll get the microphone over here to him.
Miami coming back to the tournament and being a part of that, getting this tradition back going again for Miami?
Of course. So the past 2 years obviously haven't gone the way we really wanted to, but being here for those 2 seasons, obviously nobody was happy with the outcome. So once Gino took over, he pretty much installed that we're taking our team in this program back where it belongs. And from the time he took over to now, we've been working on getting better and better every day, trying to get the energy back into the program, and I think we've done a great job.
Go ahead here to Steve in the middle.
Michael, you guys were in the mix to possibly host a regional. How do you kind of manage those expectations when you find out, you know what, we got to go on the road and be a number 2?
We just got to stick with the same plan we've been going with it the whole season, going hard every game and playing every game like it's our last, our biggest game of the year. That's kind of been our motto. And, no difference in how we play, just got to keep the same momentum going.
Again, questions for the student athletes. Again, Graham will get the microphone to you. Any other questions for the players, all right?
Evan, Mike, can you guys both talk about Coach DiMare mentioned the youth on your squad, so maybe talk a little bit about the young players and also the leadership that you guys have had to show those young players.
Evan, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Sure. So we definitely have a very young team, that we all know that, but I don't think it's going to be much of an issue just because it's a young team, but it's a young and energetic squad. We all come out with a lot of energy every day to play. The freshmen, I mean, a lot of them you wouldn't even think they're freshmen from opening day until now. They play like they're sophomores and juniors. So the lack of experience really isn't much of a worry.
Michael, anything to add there?
Yeah, I was kind of feeding off Evan there. The freshmen, you couldn't even tell they're freshmen. And the season's been long enough now that, I mean, they're really not freshmen anymore. We've been going past the whole year of baseball. And the chemistry of this team is incredible. And we all bond together and play as one. So it's a good team overall.
All right, again, any other questions for the players? We'll stay with this gentleman.
One more for both you guys. A little bit more about the tradition of Miami, the tradition you carry with you here to the tournament. It's been 2 years, but Miami had that long streak, and what the tradition means to you.
Sure. So, I mean, I grew up around the park. I've been going to games since I was a little kid. So coming here, I knew what it was like. I knew every year Miami's in the postseason. Miami's playing for a national championship. So these past years, not taking the team where we should be, it took a toll on all of us, but we all know what Miami is and what it stands for, so we're ready to take us back where we belong.
Yeah, same thing there. Miami's had a great tradition, and we came in freshman year. We didn't make it the past 2 years, and that took a toll on us, and we know that it's expected to be here, and it's just, we're happy to be back.
Again, any other questions for the players? And we'll start with questions for Coach. Anything else? All right, thank you, fellas. Have a good open practice here, and we'll see you later on through the weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, who wants to lead off with questions for Coach? We'll start with Ben over here to Coach's left.
Hey, Coach, I know entering the ACC tournament, I think y'all had won like 14 of 16 heading into it. What do you think maybe flipped the switch there in the middle of the season? Was there anything specific you point to, or was it just a matter of kind of the team coming together?
No, I can't, because we were playing without all our bullets. Our top 2 starters were out during some of those games, and our starting shortstop, who's our third hole hitter and arguably our most talented player, weren't playing during some of those games. But they're back, which is great. We have them back now, but it's amazing. We've played very well, which tells you a lot about this team. But we've played very well, and guys, that means other guys have had to step up. Some guys have had to play different positions or out of position, and some pitchers obviously have had to step up. We moved our number 4, who's a freshman, pitching against, well, in our conference, the best pitcher for Louisville. He threw against him, matched up with him in the first game of the series, and he threw against Virginia Tech's lefty, who was one of the better lefties we faced all year. So we had to make some adjustments there, and then our number 3 got pushed up to as a number 2, and then we took somebody out of the pen to be our number 3. So we have made adjustments, but we still got some kinks to work out, but we are playing better, and certainly you're right, we have won a lot more games here and kind of got us into this position to be in that talk of possibly even hosting, which we were. So, yeah.
Again, questions for Coach. We'll get the microphone to you. We can stay with Ben for a follow-up. Actually, we'll go to Steve here, and we'll get back to Ben.
Coach, with the explosion of social media and coverage of college baseball, there's all these projections about where you're going to go and that sort of stuff. Yeah. As a coach, obviously the players are aware of it, but how do you kind of manage those expectations to kind of keep them focused on the task at hand?
Well, that's just every day talking to them, and we talk to them. We don't hide behind it. I'm very honest with our players. I told them, geez, I think if we won the North Carolina game in the ACC tournament, probably a good chance we're going to host. And after the game when we lost, I told them, you know what, you just left it up to the committee probably right now. We're on that bubble, and that's not a place where I want our program to be. We've made great strides from the last few years, there's no doubt. I don't want to deny that, take anything away from it, but that's not where I want as a coach for however long I'm here. I want our program to be, I want it to be like the old days where I know, we know we're going to be hosting, and we know we're, we played the kind of season that we need to play, that somebody's going to have to beat us at our park. Having said that, I've told the players all along, and this is arguably one of the toughest places to play. I haven't been here yet, but I've been told and heard, and I can only imagine. But we have won on the road. As a former player, we've won on the road, I know, in Gainesville. As a former coach, we've won on the road, Mississippi, back in '06, with 4 freshmen in our lineup, which is amazing because we have 4 freshmen in our lineup this year. So, it just makes it harder, there's no doubt, but certainly it's going to be one heck of an experience. I know that, and our guys are looking forward to it. But I just try to talk to them every day and be honest with them and tell them, where I think we're at. Don't try to sugarcoat anything, and basically, that's kind of how I handle it.
Go ahead and get it back to Ben, then we'll go back over to Brett here.
Coach, kind of twofold. One, do you know who you're starting tomorrow? And the second part of that, having moved a bunch of guys through the rotation, I mean, how much confidence does that give you in the depth of your starting rotation?
Well, it helps now you having guys back that you can now maybe, the bullpen might get a little deeper now because those guys that were starting might possibly, again, you never know how many games you're going to play in this. You got to be prepared possibly to play 5, I guess, but 3 to 5, I guess, hopefully not 2. But, it certainly helps in regards to who we're throwing. We still don't know because we got 3 guys that are arguably could be all our number 1 guy, to be honest. Evan McKendry was basically our number 1 last year. He was our number 1 this year before he went down. Chris McMahon is a sophomore, but should be a top pick next year, first-round type guy. That's probably got as good an arm as anybody we have. And then, Brian Van Bell's been our best pitcher all year, the new guy. So we're still looking at the video. The tournament, everything happens so fast, and we're trying to watch all the video and trying to watch matchups of different teams and who matches up best with them. So we have not announced it yet, but we will here shortly, I'm sure. But, we don't know yet.
Go ahead and go to Brett here to the second row, the coach's right.
You've got your fair share of power guys in the middle of the lineup. You've got some good contact guys down in the lineup. Just how do you characterize the well-rounded threat that your lineup gives and is able to generate contact 1 through 9?
Yeah. It's a relatively balanced lineup, like you just said. I mean, I always seem to pop out Terrell because he hits 22 home runs and he's hitting 7th in our lineup, which maybe kind of defines our lineup, I guess, But, it's interesting. Those freshmen are 1, 2, 4, and 6 hitters are freshmen. And the rest of them basically are sophomores. The only junior, if we ever have a Crosby in the lineup, he's our only junior. Because Mike's a redshirt sophomore, really didn't play his first 2 years. He's been plagued with some bad luck with injuries. But so it's we have some balance. We got some guys who can run a little bit. We got some guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. We do have some guys who can put in play. We strike out a little bit too, but that's part of it when you got guys that hit for power. But it's certainly a big difference from the last couple of years. That, if anybody's asked me what was it that kept us out of the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, scoring runs. That sticks out very, very well in my mind. And our hitting coach this year has done an unbelievable job of turning it around. And we've changed a lot of things we've done. And I was the hitting coach, by the way, for many years here. But we had to make some adjustments, and I had to swallow my pride and get a little humility and open it up to him. And first year as a head coach, first year as our recruiting guy, which, by the way, he was our volunteer, which we bumped up, which was great. But the offense has been probably the biggest surprise of our team. Even I didn't see this coming because our strength really going into the season was our pitching, and our pitching is still very good. I think we finished second in the ACC, but the offense has certainly been something that I think has surprised a lot of people and maybe even me a little bit.
Coach has got time for a couple more before we get him out of here. Any other questions for Coach? All right, we'll go back to the